Coach, Bobby Meacham trying to step in, and now it gets just bonkers. Bud Black ultimately comes out.
Milton Bradley was a standout outfielder, known for his unique playing style that set him apart. But off the field, his life was filled with trouble. Bradley made headlines not for his skills, but for reckless behavior like speeding and more serious charges of assaulting his wives. But before we dive into his controversies, make sure to subscribe. In August 2003, Bradley's troubles with the law began when he was stopped for speeding in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Instead of calmly handling the situation, he drove away before signing his ticket. This led to serious consequences. By February 2004, Bradley found himself facing the court, where he was sentenced to 3 days in jail, a $250 fine, and 40 hours of community service. Around the same time, his personal life took an interesting turn. In 2003, while playing for the Cleveland Indians, Bradley met Monique Williams, who worked as a community relations intern for the team. The two began a relationship, and Monique would eventually become his wife. Despite his off-field issues, Bradley was also known for his charitable efforts. In 2005, he was the Dodgers' nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award, recognizing his work with several organizations, such as the Dodgers Dream Foundation, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, and the Long Beach Boys and Girls Clubs. He even opened 2 baseball academies, one in Long Beach and another in Baldwin Hills, to help young players develop their skills. However, his personal troubles continued. In August 2005, police in Redondo Beach responded to 3 calls related to domestic violence at Bradley's home. No charges were filed, but the situation raised eyebrows. The following year, in 2006, Bradley filed for divorce, although it was never finalized. The turmoil in his personal life reached another peak on January 18, 2011, when Bradley was arrested at his home in Encino, California, and charged with making criminal threats to his wife. Although no formal charges were filed after he agreed to an out-of-court hearing, his wife soon filed for divorce. But this wasn't an end to his troubles. In January 2013, Bradley found himself in serious legal trouble once again. He was charged with several crimes related to 5 different domestic incidents that took place in 2011 and 2012. These charges were severe, and on June 3, 2013, a jury found him guilty of 9 counts, including 4 counts of spousal battery, 2 counts of making criminal threats, 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of vandalism, and 1 count of brandishing a deadly weapon. The situation was grim, and the court sentenced him on July 2, 2013 to 32 months in prison, along with 52 weeks of anger management and domestic violence classes. However, Bradley was allowed to remain free on $250,000 bail while he appealed the conviction. Sadly, just a few months later, more tragedy struck. On September 14, 2013, Bradley's wife, Monique, died at Encino Hospital Medical Center at the age of 33. Her death certificate, dated October 10th, listed her causes of death as cryptogenic cirrhosis of the liver, hemorrhagic shock, and cardiac arrest. Despite their troubled relationship, this was a huge personal loss for Bradley and their family. Following her death, Bradley retained sole custody of their 2 sons. In 2015, Bradley continued to fight his legal battles, but a Los Angeles appellate court rejected his appeal on January 21st, upholding his conviction. Later that year in May, Sports Illustrated reported that after another unsuccessful appeal, Bradley was ordered to start serving his 32-month prison sentence. The judge who denied his request for leniency described Bradley's appeal as breathtaking, frankly, and how callous it was. Bradley did not give up on seeking a reduction in his sentence. In early 2016, he made another attempt to have his jail time reduced, but a Los Angeles Superior Court judge denied his request. Despite his ongoing legal issues, Bradley tried to move forward with his life. By April 2018, he had remarried and had been with his second wife, Rachel, for about 2.5 years. However, trouble seemed to follow him. In April 2018, Bradley was arrested again and charged with spousal battery after allegedly assaulting his wife in January of that year. At the time of this arrest, he was still on probation for his earlier domestic violence conviction. Bradley was taken into custody with bail set at $175,000. By June 2018, he pleaded no contest to the new charge of domestic battery. As a result, he was sentenced to 36 months of probation and required to complete another 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling. Though he was a skilled player, he was known more for his controversies on the field.
And Bradley puts the bat down, the helmet down, takes off his batting gloves.
Bradley started his professional baseball career in 1996 with the GCL Expos, a team in the Gulf Coast League. In his first season, he played 32 games and batted .241 with 27 hits. In 1998, Bradley played for the Cape Fear Crocs and the Jupiter Hammerheads. He hit well, tying for the team lead in doubles with 21 and batting .302 for the Crocs and .287 for the Hammerheads. But he had some bumps along the way. While playing for the Harrisburg Senators the next season, he was suspended for 7 games after starting a fight when he was hit by a pitch. One of Bradley's most memorable moments came during the 1999 Eastern League Championship Series. The Harrisburg Senators faced the Norwich Navigators in a best-of-5 series that was tied at 2 games each. By the 2000 season, after playing 88 games for the Ottawa Lynx, Bradley got his big break. He was called up to the major leagues and made his MLB debut with the Montreal Expos on July 19, 2000. In 2001, Bradley played 67 games for the Expos, including a key game on April 26, where he walked to bring in the go-ahead run against the St. Louis Cardinals in the 15th inning. On July 31st of that year, he was traded to the Cleveland Indians as a potential replacement for Kenny Lofton. In return, the Expos received right-handed pitcher Zach Day. After being traded to the Cleveland Indians, Bradley was sent to their AAA team, the Buffalo Bisons, and joined them on August 2nd. He played 30 games for the Bisons and also appeared in 10 games for the Major League Indians that season. In 2002, Bradley faced a series of setbacks. On April 15th, he was placed on the disabled list after undergoing an emergency appendectomy the day before at St. Anthony's Hospital in St. Petersburg, Florida. Not long after, on May 2nd, he found himself back on the DL with a broken orbital bone and a scratched iris. This happened after a batted ball bounced off the outfield wall and struck him just below his left eye while he was attempting a catch. Up until that point, he had been batting .266 in 23 games. Bradley spent the entire 2003 season with the Indians. Despite dealing with injuries, including a strained right hamstring that landed him on the 15-day disabled list and a lower back injury that caused him to miss the final 6 weeks of the season, he still led the team in stolen bases with 17. However, trouble found him again on August 30th when, while on the DL with his back injury, he was caught speeding in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. After being stopped, he refused to sign the ticket and drove away. Bradley pleaded not guilty to the charges of speeding and fleeing, but ended up serving a 3-day jail term after the ruling was upheld by the Ohio Supreme Court in December 2004. On November 19, 2003, to avoid salary arbitration, the Indians signed Bradley to a 1-year contract worth $173 million. However, during spring training, things took a turn. He was banned from the Indians training camp after failing to run out a pop-up in a game. Not long after, on April 3, 2004, the Indians traded Bradley to the Los Angeles Dodgers in exchange for Franklin Gutierrez and a player to be named later, who would be Andrew Brown. In Bradley's first game with the Dodgers, he made an immediate impact, but things soon got heated. On June 1st, Bradley was ejected from a game by home plate umpire Terry Kraft for arguing over balls and strikes. After being restrained by manager Jim Tracy, he stormed back to the dugout and tossed a ball bag onto the field. This outburst led to a 4-game suspension for Bradley and a 1-game suspension for Tracy. Bradley had some big moments during the season, like hitting a massive 479-foot home run against the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field on September 19th. But just a few days later, on September 28th, things went sideways again. During another game against the Rockies, he mishandled a line drive, resulting in an error. A fan threw a bottle at him, and Bradley lost his temper, throwing the bottle back into the stands and shouting at the fan. This got him ejected from the game on the spot. The next day, MLB suspended him for the rest of the season and fined him. During the off-season, Bradley decided to seek anger management counseling. In 2005, he had some great moments, like on April 12th against the San Francisco Giants. He hit a single with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning that drove in 2 runs to tie the game, and then the winning run scored on a fielding error. However, his season was cut short on August 25th when he was put on the 15-day disabled list with a torn patellar tendon and anterior cruciate ligament, which sidelined him for the rest of the season. On December 13, 2005, the Dodgers decided to trade Bradley to the Oakland Athletics, along with infielder Antonio Perez, in exchange for outfield prospect Andre Ethier. Bradley's time with the Dodgers was marked by both big moments and big challenges, leaving a lasting impression on fans and teammates alike. Bradley shined in the playoffs too. During Game 4 of the 2006 American League Championship Series against the Detroit Tigers, he made history by becoming just the third player ever to hit home runs from both sides of the plate in a postseason game, joining Bernie Williams and Chipper Jones. He had a great series overall, going 9 for 18 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. Things changed quickly in 2007, though. On June 21st, the Athletics designated him for assignment. A trade was set up to send Bradley to the Kansas City Royals in exchange for Leo Nunez, but it fell through after the Royals found out he had an oblique injury. Just a few days later, on June 29th, the A's traded Bradley, along with some cash, to the San Diego Padres in exchange for Andrew Brown, marking the second time the two players were traded for each other. Bradley's start with the Padres was rocky. He began on the 15-day DL but came back strong on July 7th, hitting .364 with 4 home runs and 12 RBIs in 18 games that month. However, on September 23, 2007, things took a dramatic turn. During a game, Bradley tore his right ACL while being held back by Padres manager Bud Black during a heated argument with first base umpire Mike Winters. The trouble started when home plate umpire Brian Rung mentioned that Winters claimed Bradley had thrown his bat in Rung's direction earlier. Bradley confronted Winters, who responded with a stream of profanity, according to Bradley and Padres first base coach Bobby Meacham. As Bradley charged toward Winters, Black tried to restrain him, but Bradley fell and injured himself. Bradley missed the last week of the regular season, a critical period for the Padres as they went on to lose a 1-game playoff for the National League wildcard against the Colorado Rockies on October 1. Following the incident, MLB suspended Winters for the rest of the season and kept him on the restricted list during the postseason, after confirming that he had indeed used obscene language toward Bradley. Bradley, meanwhile, wasn't suspended since he hadn't made any physical contact with Winters. Then came the end of his career. After the 2007 season, Milton Bradley signed a 1-year contract with the Texas Rangers. In early January 2008, he said he expected to be healthy and ready for the season opener. Playing as the Rangers' designated hitter, Bradley had a fantastic season. He led the American League in on-base percentage and on-base plus slugging and was third in batting average at .321. When asked about the possibility of making the All-Star game, he said, "If I somehow miraculously made it to the All-Star game, I would be floored. I'd really be totally humbled by that. I'm just happy right now to play, to produce, and to be with a good group of guys." He did make it, selected as the DH reserve for the 2008 All-Star game. Due to an injury to David Ortiz, Bradley started the game as the designated hitter. On January 8, 2009, Bradley signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Chicago Cubs. Not long after, he got a 2-game suspension for making contact with umpire Larry Vanover while arguing a strike call on April 16th, which was later reduced to 1 game on appeal. Then, during an interleague game against the Minnesota Twins on June 12th, Bradley made a memorable mistake. He caught a routine fly ball in right field and threw it into the stands, thinking it was the 3rd out of the inning when there were actually only 2 outs. As a result, the Twins were allowed to score a run, and another runner advanced to third base. Later in June, tensions rose when Cubs manager Lou Piniella told Bradley to leave the dugout after he angrily threw a Gatorade cooler following a frustrating at-bat against the Chicago White Sox. The two had a heated exchange in the locker room, but made up shortly after, with Piniella apologizing and putting Bradley back in the lineup for the next game. On September 20th, 2009, Cubs general manager Jim Hendry suspended Bradley for the rest of the season after Bradley gave an interview where he said the team lacked a positive environment and criticized the constant media attention, suggesting this was why the Cubs hadn't won a championship in over 100 years. Hendry responded by saying he wouldn't tolerate Bradley's complaints about the media. Bradley later apologized to the Cubs for his remarks. Bradley was part of the Mariners' efforts to return to the playoffs, but things didn't go smoothly. On May 4th, 2010, he removed himself from a game and left the stadium after a heated exchange with Mariners manager Don Wakamatsu following a strikeout with the bases loaded. The Mariners put Bradley on the restricted list on May 6th, but brought him back on May 19th. Bradley started the 2011 season slowly, hitting just .218 with 2 home runs and 13 RBIs in 28 games. On May 9th, the Mariners designated him for assignment, frustrated by his performance in a series against the White Sox where he was ejected for arguing balls and strikes, booed for not hustling after balls, and made a poor throw that led to runs. The Mariners released Bradley on May 16th. That is it for this one, but if you happen to like MLB Legends, make sure to check out our latest videos on our channel Baseball Icons. I'm sure you will love it. Oh, and while you are at it, drop a comment telling us who to cover next, and don't forget to subscribe.